Good afternoon. Our book reading this afternoon is called Jesus Shows His Glory. Here we have a picture of a guy named Moses. He's got the Ten Commandments. And then over here, we've got someone by the name Elijah talking to a boy. Over the years, God gave his people helpers to show him his word. Prophets and priests and judges and kings did the work of the Almighty Lord. Moses, here's Moses, and Elijah were two of the greatest who served God in those days of old. Moses received the Lord's 10 commandments and led Israel from slavery's hold. Through the prophet Elijah, a dead boy rose, and Baal was declared a false god. And all the wonders of Elijah and Moses pointed forward to the Son of God. Now, who do we have here? We have Jesus, and we have three of the disciples, Peter, James, and John. Once Jesus went walking with Peter and James and John, each one a dear friend. The men followed Jesus high up a mountain, where his glory they soon would attend. Then as the disciples watched Jesus' face, they were filled with awe and amazement. He shone like the sun in splendor and grace, and was dressed in a dazzling white garment. So here's Jesus, and here's Moses and Elijah again. But that's not all the disciples saw. From heaven appeared two men who had come to show Jesus kept all of God's law and made words of the prophets come true. Elijah and Moses were these two great men with whom Jesus now stood and talked. Seeing their master right next to them, the frightened disciples gawked. They're looking and saying, "What's going on?" The prophets and Jesus spoke of the future, that he'd die in Jerusalem. They spoke of the freedom Jesus would bring. Through his death, forgiveness would come. Here's Peter. At last, Peter shook himself out of his daze and said, "Master, it's good to be here. Let's put up tents for you, Moses, Elijah." Peter spoke in confusion and fear. He didn't know what he's talking about. Just then, a bright cloud enclosed them. In a loud voice, God's message did tell. "This is my Son, whom I dearly love. With him I am pleased very well." The voice of our God and the Father finished saying, "Listen to him." The cloud disappeared with Elijah and Moses, leaving Jesus and his disciples with him. As the disciples came down from the mountain, Jesus said, "Do not tell what you have saw until the Son has been raised from the dead." They did not understand this at all. But when they saw Jesus die, there's his hands, on the cross between the two thieves, then when he rose up to life again, the disciples began to believe. They realized that one glimpse of glory, when they saw Jesus' bright shining face, as he stood with Elijah and Moses, was of heaven, just a small taste. Here's a pastor and some people in church. See the altar? We haven't seen Jesus like they did, or heard God's voice in a cloud, but still we all taste of God's goodness and sing hymns with the heavenly crowd. It happens when we join to worship and receive the gifts our God gives. In baptism's washing and words of forgiving, we live because Jesus lives. I hope you all have a very good week, and we will see you again next week.